just a few seemingly harmless suggestions, but little by little, they completely erased his lifelong dream. From a warm, bustling little coffee shop to the moment when there was nothing left but a bare wall. How could someone full of passion lose everything just because he listened to others? This story will make you ask yourself, how many times in life have you compromised and traded yourself away? In a small, peaceful town in Montana, there was a man named George. After many years of hard labor, he finally saved enough money to open his own little coffee shop. George was passionate about handcrafted roasted coffee. Each coffee bean was carefully selected by him from family farms in the Highlands, roasted in a traditional cast iron roaster right behind the counter. The shop was small but cozy, filled with the sweet aroma of fresh coffee. George personally arranged each bag of coffee, hung black and white photos documenting his journey, and always greeted every customer with a sincere smile and a warm welcome. At first, only a few local residents stopped by to try it, but gradually, that enticing aroma spread throughout the town. Within a few weeks, more and more customers began to gather, curious to taste the handcrafted coffee brewed by George himself. To attract more passersby, George made a large wooden sign and hung it right in front of the shop. Freshly roasted coffee, wonderful aroma, available at our store. The simple yet appealing words drew even more visitors. The shop buzzed with laughter and conversation under the morning sun. George could clearly feel the aroma of success slowly enveloping his little dream. Until one morning, as the sun was just rising, a well-dressed man stepped out of a shiny SUV. He frowned at the sign, then walked into the shop. "Hey buddy, that wonderful aroma part sounds redundant. All coffee smells good. You don't need to emphasize it like that." George hesitated. He liked that phrase, but he didn't want to offend this seemingly powerful customer. In the end, he reluctantly agreed. The painter was called, and the words "wonderful aroma" were erased from the sign. Just a week later, another man appeared. He wore silver-rimmed glasses, stepped out of a luxury car, and walked straight into the shop. In a confident tone, he said, "Why does it say available at our store? Obviously, people are standing here. There's no need to mention that." George hesitated again. That phrase made the sign feel a bit more personal, but the customer seemed more knowledgeable. Not wanting to argue, George nodded. The painter was called again. The phrase "available at our store" was erased. A few days later, another customer stopped by, this time an old man with silver hair and a seasoned look. He looked at the sign, frowned, and said, "Why does it still say available? If the shop is open, of course there's coffee. That's redundant." George, now more confused and insecure than ever, called the painter once again. The sign was now left with only the words, "freshly roasted coffee." But things didn't stop there. One morning, a young woman holding a latte from a famous brand walked into the shop, glanced at the sign, and chuckled softly. "Who doesn't know this is a coffee shop? What's the sign even for?" This time, fear completely overwhelmed George's reasoning. He nodded, then called the painter one last time. The sign, his very first source of pride, was now nothing more than a blank piece of wood. Weeks then months passed. The customers gradually dwindled. The sweet aroma of coffee that once filled the street was now replaced by the gloomy scent of worry, loneliness, and doubt. George sat quietly on the wooden chair behind the counter, staring blankly at the empty wall where the sign once hung. One late autumn afternoon, George's old friend, Mike, stopped by after a long business trip. Seeing the empty shop, Mike asked in surprise, "What happened here?" George told the whole story, his voice filled with sadness. Mike fell silent, walked outside, looked up at the blank wall, then came back in and almost shouted, "Are you crazy? You let those meaningless suggestions erase your entire identity. That sign wasn't just some words, it was your voice, your dream. You killed it just because you were afraid of being judged." George's eyes burned. Mike's words struck like lightning, awakening something deep inside him. The next morning, to the surprise of passersby, the familiar wooden sign was hung up again, fully restored to its original form. Freshly roasted coffee, wonderful aroma, available at our store. And as if by magic, the old customers began to return one by one. Laughter and the sweet aroma of coffee once again filled that small space. But this time, George had learned a valuable lesson. When you keep seeking approval from others, you are slowly eroding your identity, your faith, and your dreams. In life, your shop is your journey, and the sign outside is the voice of your soul. Never let anyone erase that voice. The final lesson: advice is a precious gift, but not every piece of advice is meant for you. When you let the fear of judgment lead you, you will live a life arranged by the expectations of everyone, except yourself. True happiness doesn't come from being perfect in the eyes of others, but from the peace of knowing you are living true to your own values. Be brave enough to take hold of the brush and paint the picture of your life in your own way. Because in the end, the world does not remember those who please the crowd. The world remembers those who dare to stand firm and live as their true selves.